Hello, everybody, and welcome to Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we learn how to stop doing deals and start closing customers for life. We're going to do this by interviewing some of the most successful people in their fields to see how they built their business, and we're going to do that today by interviewing Mr. Jacob Lawson. Jacob, thanks so much for being with us.
Man, thanks for having me, Josh. Feels extraordinary to be here, man.
There you go. Love to hear it, man. So, Jacob, what is it that you do, my friend?
Man, so my primary business has been for over 20 years, Extraordinary Flooring. We are hard surface flooring, decorative concrete specialist and resinous coating specialist. We primarily focus on commercial is our biggest factor, but we also touch a bit on residential floors as well.
Beautiful. So what got you started doing that?
It's funny. I kind of followed my dad's footsteps. He was an oil field offshore man for, my whole childhood. And right out of high school, I jumped in and followed his footsteps and went overseas and worked in Africa for a while. Got to see some different countries, some really cool things. It was a really great career path, especially in my, late teens and early 20s. Was making some really good money. But I knew that I didn't want to have to raise my kids from an oil field platform. So, luckily, when you work offshore, you typically have this, different rotation where you're working 2 to 4 weeks on, and then you get 1 or 2 weeks off. And I had a neighbor who was like a big brother to me, Jeremy LeBlanc. And he had a tile company where he laid tile, hardwood, marble, stuff like that. And he would ask me, say, "Hey man, when you're off, you want to come work with me? You want to come make some side money?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I don't turn down money. Let's go." So I would work with him on my off time. And so I did that for probably the last 6 to 8 months that I was working overseas in Africa. And I was like, all right, well, this is it. This is where I'm going to make this transition. I knew that if I didn't make the transition soon, the money I was making was going to be hard to turn away, So luckily, at about 22 years old, I made that jump. I call it my Home Depot card and a prayer moment. It's one of the chapters in my book where basically, at that time, I had taken on a new house, a new car, a new truck. I had a fiance, I had a baby on the way. Spent all my money to get into the new house, and so basically, I had a Home Depot card, one project, and a prayer, and jumped off and started my business.
Hey, man, that's sometimes the way you got to do it. Love it. What do you like best about what you do?
Well, we have a very visual aspect, so it's very cool. Unlike some of the other things I did earlier, in my high school days was electrical work and some plumbing work and stuff that you hide behind walls. But
yeah.
we do floors, and we do extraordinary floors, and so we don't just do the typical tile, wood, and marble. Although we used to do that, and we'll do it for certain clients these days, but our primary aspect is polished concrete and concrete coatings, epoxy coatings. So we get a decorative aspect that makes it a very unique, one-of-a-kind, original floor all the time, and we get to do it in some of the coolest places in our area, which is always brings me joy to. I've seen some blue collar memes on Instagram where you live with a blue collar husband. And it's like, oh, we did that job. We did that job. We did that job. Yeah, you pretty much can't run through the city without me pointing out all those things. So I think that's one of the coolest aspects of what we do.
Absolutely. No, it's great to say, hey, look, that's there because of me. That's there because of me. In my business in real estate or construction, I sold that house. I built that one. That roof. We did that roof, right? Yeah. So where do you think all the success came from for you?
That to me, that starts off of, honestly, another one of the chapters in my book was I had my grandpa was a wood carver, and he would carve just the most amazing things, and he'd carve just life-size objects of different sports memorabilia, and life-size footballs, baseballs, jerseys, golf clubs, and he put them in famous people's houses and hands, and this, that, and the other. But along his last days, he would carve all of the grandkids of baseball, and he would put the World Series team on it for that year. He did it for like the last 10 years of his carving days, and And one of my favorite, and the favorite one that I have, he wrote on it, work ethic and determination. And this was something that he would just preach to me. He's like, Jake, it doesn't matter what you do. You got work ethic, you got determination. You cannot be stopped. You can do anything you want with work ethic and determination. And without a doubt, hands down, that's what got me through my at least the first 15 years of business, just that sheer work ethic and determination. If you're always growing, if you're always changing, if you're always evolving, if you're always doing bigger things, different, more difficult projects, you're gonna learn lessons, right? You're gonna have failures, you're gonna have setbacks. But if you've got the work ethic and determination to where none of that's going to stop me, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to satisfy this client no matter what happened. We're going to get it right. You're going to make it through. So work ethic and determination, I would say, got me through my first 15 years of business easy.
Love it. And I suppose that ties in with this next question, which, what do you think in your makeup as a person makes you good at what you do?
Well, the name of my business is Extraordinary Flooring. It's not just the pretty name. It is definitely what we try to do. It's what we stand behind. Our floors are going to be extraordinary. Our floors are going to be the best that we can make them, the best in the market. There's nobody that can, quote unquote, do them better. They can do them just as good as us, but if we can do them just as good as them as well, right? So we're going to give top-notch quality. We're not going to give it an ordinary effort. We're going to make it an extraordinary effort. And that's just, that has changed my business. It's funny, the first few years of my business, it was not Extraordinary Flooring. The first, I think, year and a half, it was Big Jake's Affordable Flooring. And not the best name to start with, but it's a childhood nickname. And affordable flooring is not really going to attract the big spenders if you can't figure that one out, right? So I was definitely getting the thrifty deal-looking spenders and fighting for these low-level nickel and dime type jobs. And I had an aha moment one day, and I said, "Make it extraordinary." Literally in my head, make it extraordinary. Change your business. Make it extraordinary flooring. I changed it. And I'm not going to say it happened overnight, but very quickly, everything changed in my business. We went from Section 8 housing, bathroom renovations to $1 million mansions, within 6 months of me changing that.
That's what I like to hear, man. I love to hear that. Good stuff. What do you think makes you passionate about it?
The name Extraordinary Flooring was it, and we, without a doubt, set out to put out the best flooring I could, and it was a name that was, like I said, an aha moment. But it's not only turned to a motto, it was a company motto that, it definitely rang like a bell, make it extraordinary, right? But especially over these past few years, it's changed to a lifestyle motto. It's changed to what I'm trying to basically make my legacy movement of make it extraordinary. You have a choice every single day to live your life in an ordinary way or an extraordinary way. And, so you can put that extra effort in there to try to evolve yourself and try to be better to pick up yourself and those around you. Or you can just live an ordinary, mundane. There's nothing wrong with that. But to push yourself, to push your own limits, to try to achieve something extraordinary. That's legacy building. That's something that people are going to remember you by. That's something that people will speak at your funeral about, So it's turned into a lifestyle. It's turned into a movement. It is something that I do want to be my legacy play for my life is make it extraordinary and to inspire millions to take their lives and put forth that extra effort to do something extraordinary with themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was something that my father taught me a long time ago as a kid. He told me that he didn't care if I grew up to be a floor sweeper, to be the best damn floor sweeper there is. The way you sweep that floor says everything anybody needs to know about your character, especially if you don't think somebody's coming to check, right? You do it well because that's how you do what you do, who you are as a person. And When you start to define yourself as the kind of person that does things well, does things with excellence in every area of your life, all of a sudden you start to get the results of a person that's relentlessly pursuing excellence throughout their life. And those results are a lot more in keeping with what everybody says they want, but doesn't put the effort in to actually achieve. So what you're saying resonates very well with me.
You can be a painter or you can be an artist, no matter what you do. Painter is of the ordinary. You're going to paint some things that most people are not even going to notice got done, right? But an artist creates art, something that is noteworthy, something that is different, something that is extraordinary, something that people notice, and you say that about floor sweeping. Right before I actually started my business, I had a guy that owned a convenience store, and he had a little car wash behind it. And I knew his daughter. I kind of grew up with his daughter, so we kind of knew each other. And he comes up to me, and I just washed my Suburban in his car lot, and I was shining it off. And he walks up to me and said, "Jake, I got a job for you." I said, "What you got?" He said, "I want you to paint my building." I said, "I can do it, but I've never really painted before." He said, "Jake, I see you every week, how you shine that car, how you don't leave a drop of water on it. You can paint my building." So it's just like you said, people notice. Doesn't matter if they notice that you've got an art to how you sweep that floor. You're not just pushing a broom like it's a dead body. They know that guy can do something. You can find that person at your local grocery store or your local supermarket or hardware store, and just know that person right there is different. Like that person right there, he's got that little extra in him. He can do something else.
And here's the cool thing: the people that do notice are the people that I actually want to notice. They're the ones that actually matter. The folks that don't notice that crap don't have any freaking clue how great things actually are done. These are the ones that live in the mundane lives, man. It is
exactly.
So
how good does that feel, right? When people do notice.
When the ones that do notice are the ones whose opinion I actually care about. Yeah. Everybody else, it is what it is. But
and the other blessing for ourselves is when we get to notice those people and point that out to them and make their day special. Yeah. When us being there and having that and done this and done that, and we see these other people and these levels that they haven't achieved yet, but we notice that, we call them out, we recognize that for them and just make their day special over that. That's another totally gift of life, right?
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: what is a tool you'd suggest to help our listeners?
Well, I don't have all the answers yet. I'm still getting them. I'm 42 years old. I am constantly trying to evolve myself. The bookshelf is always growing. I am always trying to get myself a little bit better. I'm always trying to find that $1 million object in that book, in that $20 book. Where's that $1 million secret, right? So I have more books in my future catalog, but the first one is Make It Extraordinary: 27 life-changing lessons to help you elevate beyond the ordinary. It has a mixture of life lessons in it. It's basically kind of chronological order of the biggest life lessons I've ever learned in my life. From just simple childhood and teenage lessons to all of my big business lessons that changed my career and changed my trajectory. And it also, which was a big part to me, was I paid homage to all of the mentors who blessed me in my life, that put me on those next levels, who put me up to those lessons, who taught me those things, whether they were just teaching me from their mistakes, whether I was just blessed to be in their lives, or whether I was working my ass off to go pay to be in the room or get close to them, right? So that book right there is the biggest life lessons that I've learned and made me to get to the point where I am now. So, I really do recommend, anybody who's in that entrepreneur starting growth factor or anything like that, it's a great book to read and be inspired by.
Sure. So how about this, Jacob? Can you give us a sneak peek of what's in there? Give us one of your lessons, a little taste.
I've got many of them. One of them early on, is a life lesson that we've all heard, and some people don't believe that it didn't happen to you; it happened for you. This happened to be the only job I ever got fired from. It was early in my teenage years, and I had worked for somebody for a little while, and working with a few of his sons, and we were kind of messing around and not getting anything done that day, and so we all got fired that day. And it was a firing that we all probably could have got back from, and I know his sons got right back from. But, it was one of these things that, I went home that day, and I was still living with my parents at the time. And it was like my mom knew what happened. And she walked in there, and she said, "What's going on? What are you doing home right now?" I'm like, "Oh, Glenn fired me." She's like, "So what are you doing in your bed right now?" I said, "What I'm supposed to do? I got fired." She said, "Get your ass outside. Don't come home till you got a job."
Yeah.
So literally, she's like, "Go down to Peters Road," which was this industrial complex road right there, all kind of welding and offshore jobs. She said, "Don't come home till you got a job." And so literally, she kicked me out of the house, got my ass out of there. And that's what got me into my oil field career, which was amazing. I mean, I was 19, 20 years old, making over 60 grand a year. And this is 20 plus years ago, so that was good money for a 19-year-old, at the time. And so, you can sulk in the thing that just happened to you, or you can go do something about it and be like, why did this happen? What can change in my life because of this happening, right? So, that's one of them. It didn't happen to you. It happened for you. So don't sulk in what happened. Find out why it happened and what is going to change in your life because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do something different so it doesn't happen again. So, what do you see as the opportunity in the market today?
Well, I believe it is, and I not only believe it is because it's my business. I run a service-based business, but I hear this question asked to a lot of people who are a lot more successful than me, and I constantly hear it. Service-based businesses are blowing up for multiple reasons. There's a lot of private equity money coming into these service-based businesses. The ones that are successful, the ones that have their processes in place, the ones that are growing, the ones that have their shit together. They got private equity money coming in and then just blowing these things up. And you have to look at what's going on in the world as well. Everybody's worried about the AI, and AI is going to change the world. Everybody knows it, right? But what is this world lacking right now?
Floors. AI can't
the world is lacking service-based employees, right? People that can do a service and provide a service. That's just a different thing that AI is not capable of doing on a full scale, and that's service. And even in the flooring industry, guess what? They do have some robots, right? And robots can do a big, wide open floor, but they can't do everything, and they can't do the little things. And this world right now is in serious need of tradesmen. So tradesmen to be in the service base.
AI can't pull wire. AI can't take and unclog a stuffed up toilet. There are things, and unfortunately, the culture has been so much against people getting into jobs that have them getting their hands dirty that so few people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s have never picked up a tool. They don't know how to help themselves out. They don't know how to make the real world work. And so AI, those folks, they're in trouble because AI can absolutely replace them.
Yeah, think you got to go to college. You got to go to college. My dad wanted me to go to college. I told him, I said, "Dad, by the time my friends get out of college, I'm going to be making money. Don't worry about that."
Yep.
And so there's so much of that, and there's nothing wrong with college. College is great, especially if you have a real passion, a chosen career path that you are passionate about getting into, and you need a college degree for it. Great, but this general practitioner college stuff,
it's a waste of time. Waste of time and money. There's no ROI in it. There really is.
For most people, it's not.
So let me ask you this: I know, Jacob, you've said that you're constantly evolving, but at this point, helicopter view, what is the most important thing that you've learned in the process of doing what you've done to this point?
Know your numbers.
Yeah, man.
Know your numbers, and it goes in more than one way. You got to know your business numbers. but you got to know your life numbers as well. Because if you don't know your life numbers, it doesn't matter what your business numbers are, and vice versa. So if you don't know that down to a T, you don't know if you're making money or not, and you don't know if you're making enough money to survive. And making money to survive is okay, but nobody's in this business to just survive. We're in this business to thrive. We're in this business to grow. We're in this business to set up our futures, our retirements, our children. So you have to know your numbers. You have to know everything about your numbers, and your numbers are always changing. As your business grows, your overhead grows. And typically as your business grows, so does your personal overhead, right? So the more money you make, the more money you start spending.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I had a conversation with somebody else the other day. Everybody wants these big, huge businesses. Well, you could have a $500,000 business, and it only costs you $200,000 to operate it, and live, and now you pocketed $300,000. Or you could have a $500,000 business and it costs you $550 every year to run and operate, and you can be getting yourself 50, 100 grand in the hole every single year. And that's on every level. That ain't just on a $500,000 level. That's on $1 million levels, multi-million-dollar levels. There's just new levels, and if you're not saving, investing, and putting away more than you're spending, you're spinning your wheels backwards, even if you're growing.
Yeah. All right, so Jacob, I want to take and go into kind of a different segment of questions right now. This is a little bit more to get people to kind of know you. I think that the idea is great and everything, but I find that people are more willing to take advice when they understand the person that the advice is coming from a little bit. So it's a little bit more lightning roundish kind of thing, kind of your first take of this on these questions. What are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished at this point?
Well, for one, being here for over 20 years.
Survival. Yeah.
What do they say? I think it's, 50% are out within 3 years and like 90% are out within 10.
Yep.
Somewhere around those numbers. So to be in this thing over 20 years is great. I love it. I'm proud of that. To be just as hungry as ever to grow and scale my business and take it to new levels, I'm proud of that. Every year I feel like I'm just getting started. We hit new levels, we hit new peaks, but we start chasing other mountains, and we do 3 to 4 million a year right now in this aspect of the business, but I'm looking forward to taking this thing to 5, 10, and 20 million in the future.
Love it. What would you say, same question, but most proud of in life that you've accomplished?
Being the best father I can be to my 3 daughters and husband to my amazing wife.
It's a good answer, man. It's a good answer.
I try my damnedest. I can tell you that work, I can be and have been called a workaholic. I have a lot more of a balance now, luckily, in my life as business builds and you get your team under you and you get to do that. But in the beginning stages of business, man, it's a grind. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, I've got a 17-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old girl. And the 2 younger ones get the different version of me that the 17-year-old didn't get to get, because I was so engulfed in trying to build my business and honestly, it's back against the wall at that time. You don't have a choice. It's not like you're just volunteering to do it. You got to do it. The bills don't stop. You're growing things. You got all of these challenges, and if you don't put all your effort into it, it's very hard to grow unless you just stumble into a very lucky occurrence.
Yeah, no, and as a father, as a husband, there's a lot of guilt associated because you have this responsibility to your business and at the same time this responsibility to your family, trying to balance the two, knowing that you're not doing as much in one area as you can, but knowing that it's necessary in order to be able to get to the place where you can do what you want to do. Man, I have heard that from so many successful people on here. The idea of kind of balancing that out, and frankly, as they get older, the guilt that they have for maybe some of the time that they had to take away from family to do the other things. It is this balancing act that we're stuck with, trying to take and build something in this world that wants to fight us every step of the way. What one piece of advice would you give our listeners if you could?
You got a choice every single day. You can be ordinary or you can be extraordinary. Try to get yourself better every single day, just a little bit. Like you've got it in you.
Move it.
Everybody has more potential in them. Everybody. The best in the world are still chasing more potential. So why aren't you?
Yep. All right. Besides your own book, what one book would you recommend?
If I had to choose one, and there's many, like I said, I try to get that $1 million ticket out of each and every one I read. But if I had to choose one, it is Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. I know many people say it, but it the first time I read that book, it was a nice book. Didn't change my life. Second time I read that book, I was at a different point in my life, and it changed my life, and it changed my perspective. And, it's not just, if I think about it, it's going to happen. You have to think about it. You have to put forth that plan, and you have to be just forward-facing, blinders on, determined to get it, and you will get it. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be 10 years from now, might be 20 years from now. But if you forward-focus, blinders on, relentless drive, think about it, and you will grow rich. In whatever aspect that is, I'm not just talking about money. It could be spiritual, it could be friendship, it could be your personality. Think about it.
Flourish
in it, just drive in it, But that Think and Grow Rich, man, especially this, I've probably read it at least 4 times now, but the second time I read it really just changed my life.
Okay. I've heard that one before. That book has done a lot of good for a lot of people. Favorite movie of all time?
I'm going to say Gladiator.
Great film. One of my favorites, too. Famous person in history you'd want to meet if you could?
Marcus Aurelius.
All right. Meditations. Yeah. What person from your past would you want to sit down with and have lunch with today if you could?
If I could choose two, it'd be both my grandparents, my grandpas. If I had to choose one, it's going to be my grandpa Gramp. I didn't get as many stories as I'd like to get out of him. He was a wartime submarine bomb activating and deactivating diver. Courageous man. He's also the wood carver that I talked about earlier. And when I had the time to talk to him, he still didn't let me into some of those top secret type missions. But man, I know he would share them with me now. If I could sit down and have lunch with him, I'd love to.
I imagine they'd be great stories. I often think about the stories I didn't get from my dad that maybe I was a little too young for, and what they'd be like now. All right, so what one piece of advice would you go back and give a younger version of you if you could?
A younger version of me, I would focus more on profits. I have always been good at sales. I fell in love with sales. Kind of touch on it in one of the chapters in my book. I think I fell in love with sales. In high school wrestling, we would have to sell candy to raise money for the team. We didn't have much money for the program, so we'd have to sell candy and stuff. And when the fundraiser was over, I never stopped selling the candy, and so that led to a life of selling. That led to me selling a few things I probably shouldn't have in my teenage career, my teenage years. But it led to a life of selling, and I was always very good at selling. And even as soon as I started my business, I can sell. But I didn't always make the profit that I could have or should have made. I was more focused on the sale and didn't quite know all of my numbers, and what looked like I was probably making some money, I know I left a lot of money on the table.
Now that is a thing. We tend to focus on just volume rather than the actual what we're actually bringing home from it. It's a very important piece of the equation. So if you had to pick, who would you want to be stuck in a foxhole with?
It's pretty easy. Like I mentioned on earlier as well, my not blood, but my big brother Jeremy, the guy that got me into flooring. one of the roughest, toughest MFs you'll ever meet, and it would be a damn dogfight to the death if you got me and him backed up against the wall. It better be fucking good, because we'd be coming at you, and he wouldn't quit, and I wouldn't quit. So, and no better person I'd rather have my back against the wall up in a dogfight.
Yeah, no, that's the kind of person you want, somebody that you know has got your back and is fierce. So what do you do to unwind?
I'm pretty simple, man. I'm pretty simple and homebodied. I'm in the gym every morning, 6 days a week. That is my happy place. On the weekends, I get to spend some extra time in the gym, so I'm in there just an hour in the mornings. Early, I get up early. I'm in there 4 o'clock in the morning. But on the weekends, I get to stretch that out a little bit, 2 or 3 hours, do my little gym, do my little sauna, do my little cold plunge. That's my wellness. And then, by the evenings on the weekends, I like to kind of meal prep and do some. I love grilling. I got my new house is set up, my outdoor kitchen, just like my dream kitchen, right, from my outdoor kitchen. And I love being out there and put the music on, grill up some good steaks or some seafood, get my family, sit around, have a good meal. That just kind of completes the week for me.
Oh, yeah, no, food always makes everything better. What's next for you, Jacob? What's the next project? What's the next thing?
We're still focused on blowing up Extraordinary Flooring. Definitely got these things. We steered away from residential work for a little while to focus on commercial. We've got that where we want, and it's on a nice steadily growth pattern. But now we're also putting the focus back on the residential. Start making some noise again in that space. That's my life business mission. But my life's mission right now is this Make It Extraordinary movement. Make It Extraordinary Foundation is something that I'm speaking into existence. It is going to be my legacy movement, where I am going to try to inspire millions over my lifetime to find that extraordinary inside of them, whatever that version is of extraordinary. Everybody has their own version. So many people think this word extraordinary is just for the rich and famous and luxurious. No, this word is a common word. Anybody can own it. It's just putting forth that extra effort and whatever talent you have and sharing that with the world. And so it is my life mission to inspire as many people as I can to take whatever they have inside of them and bring out that extraordinary and share it with the world.
Beautiful. Jacob, last question for you. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, make_it extraordinary is that page. I got a daily motivational message 6 days a week. Put a little motivational message, a little motivational song, a little bit of working out in there. That is my handle. Make It Extraordinary. 27 life-changing lessons to help you elevate beyond the ordinary is the book, and it is on Amazon. You can also find it on the website, but Amazon is where it is primarily and easiest to find. And then, extraordinaryflooring.com is the business. If you're in the New Orleans greater area region, we kind of keep about a 3 to 4 hour circumference of the New Orleans area. And we'll put in some extraordinary floors for you if you so happen to need them.
Well, I will be in New Orleans at the end of September, beginning of October here to speak there. So I will be in your neck of the woods. Maybe we'll have to connect at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's grab a bite for sure.
All right. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for your time and for hanging out with us. It was genuinely a pleasure to hear your perspective on things.
Man, thank you very much for having me, Josh. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed your podcast, man. I love your thought. I love your process. I feel like we're definitely cut from a lot of the same kind of cloth. So I greatly appreciate it.
I like to refer to it as a shared brain damage, but I'm with you, man. Yeah, I want to thank everybody that listens, guys. Thanks for listening, spending your time with us. Resources are there on the Close for Life website for anybody that needs stuff. That being said, I always leave you with the one important idea: there is never a good excuse not to know your shit. Till next time, guys.